Hello and welcome to episode 6 of Pixlrift. You may recall a couple of episodes ago I built this dock and did a time-lapse for it. But in the meantime I realised it looked a bit barren and I thought I'd better fill it in, give it a bit more substance. And what better way to do that than with a few haphazardly placed barrels around the place. It's a very subtle change, but I think it really fleshes it out a lot more and I'm happy with it. If you have any other suggestions for this dock, please send them my way and I'd love to implement as many of them as possible. Madsify suggested using different coloured textured timbers, which I have already done for the wood that's in contact with the ocean, but I do want to experiment with that a bit more than I have, so thank you for that. But the main reason for this episode is the stable build. I've been looking forward to building this stable for quite a while. I had a sign there and a few lanterns indicating where it was going to go. But other than that, I had no idea how I would build this, and so I built it basically, I designed it as I was building it. Now you may notice that I'm using a 5x5 grid to build it. And this is based on the andyisyoda 5x5 framework or pattern. If you're not familiar with that, basically it means the building is constructed in a modular way out of cubes of 5x5x5 using any material. You can still add some depth to the building and make it look interesting despite that, which I'll add later. But it's a good starting point for people like myself that don't know what they're doing with building. I don't feel like I'm that good a builder and I'm still learning. And so I'm quite happy with how this turned out. And I think a lot of that is due to this whole andyisyoda approach. Now I'm building the stables on the right there. I grew up around horses, so I'm familiar with what horses are like. And I know that they can kick stone walls and hurt their hooves. So that's why I'm putting wooden walls and panels in the side so that if they kick the wall, they don't hurt themselves. I'm also trying to make it feel a bit like a barnyard sort of style. And I don't use stripped logs very often, but it seemed like the perfect fit for these walls. Putting in some more kickboards. Bit of lighting for when it gets dark. And I'm happy with how this is starting off. But it's time to fill in the roof. And there was a massive cavern underneath of just empty air, so I had to sort of fill in that area and put a lower level so that I could put the actual floor on top of the dirt. Otherwise I had nothing to place the floor onto. Designing this as I went, just trying to haphazardly place blocks around the place. I had some gravel, some dirt, some andesite, bits and pieces in there. And I'm happy with how it turned out. Again, this is another thing that I'm not that good at doing sort of natural looking designs, but I am getting better at it. If you have any tips to improve this floor, let me know. I would love to hear them. Also, if you're enjoying the content and you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it, and you get to see other videos like this one. And of course you want to not just have a hard edge off at stables where the horses are, you want it to sort of creep in to that area. And so I try to merge that sort of ground in there a little bit more instead of just having it as a straight edge. But now it's time to start working on the roof because it's quite flat at the moment and flat roofed buildings don't look that good. We'll just get the horse in there first so he's out the way. Now, part of the reason for building a stable is because the horse was making a bit of a mess. When I first got it, given to me by Ginger Fuzzies, which is another player on the island, he tied it up on a post outside, but it started raining and so I didn't want the poor horse to get cold and to get his coat wet, so I brought him inside the house there that you can see in the background. But then the problem was every time I logged onto the server I'd have to clean up his mess, so I wanted to get him out of the house as quickly as possible. I'm sure you can imagine how disgusting that would be having a horse in a house for an extended period of time. let's just say I haven't had many guests. The guests weren't too impressed. Now here I'm just filling in the roof, as you can see, using a standard angle design. Nothing special here. The kind of design that most people use. I started off using planks as scaffolding, and then quickly realised that no, I needed actual scaffolding. So much easier to work with. Now I tried to do something that I've learnt from Grian's tutorials, where you put an edging on the side of a different material. So I've got a darker coloured wood just for the edges of the roof, and for the tip and for the centre. And I feel it really accentuates it a bit more, and it really makes it stand out. I might change that tip on the main area of the roof to be a dark colour as well in the future. Again, feedback is more than welcome. In fact, it's encouraged, not just for the dock, but for this building as well. A plain roof, angled roof, is also not very interesting without adding windows. So here I am adding some bay windows. I went through several iterations here. As I said, I was designing it on the fly, and I wasn't happy with a lot of what I had, so I had to tear it down and rebuild it multiple times. I'm just showing one of them here, but I tore them down and rebuilt them countless times till I got something that I liked. Now, part of the problem with designing windows is that you keep falling off the roof. So I ended up making a platform out of scaffolding, just so I could actually step back and observe what it looked like from a distance without falling off the roof constantly. Now I've designed this to have an inner room that actually is functional, where I can put things in, but at the moment I'm not using it. Now this is another thing I've never done, it's doing that little tip on the side. I ended up putting a little stair underneath, and it has a bit of a more natural feel to the tip of that roof there. The other thing that I've used only rarely is the white wool for the walls, and I feel it really adds a touch of colour to this otherwise wooden build. The stable nestles in alongside the castle, just up from the dock, and it's a really nice place to have the horse. I put some footpaths around in front of it just to make the grass a little less bland, and I'm really happy with how this turned out. You can see I've got the horse in there. He's looking out pretty happy at the dock, I guess. Hey, awesome. Yes, you. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to join a whole bunch of other awesome people, hop in the Discord at leegergaming.com/discord. I'll see you there.